The tariffs that are being imposed are on imported steel and imported aluminum, and the amount is 25% and 10% on those products respectively. A tariff is essentially a tax. That is one of the surprising aspects of this, because having just initiated a major tax cut, the Trump administration is essentially imposing a tax on these imports of these particular metals from a number of countries. They're also being imposed on national security grounds under a piece of legislation which has rarely been used for trade protection in the past. Well, the primary target of the tariffs from the rhetoric, and I think the purposes of the Trump administration's trade policies, are China. China is regarded as the major trade violator in the world by the administration, at least according to its statements up to this point. However, Chinese exports of steel and aluminum to the United States are already relatively small. They are already impacted by trade restrictions under other headings at this point. So the major countries that are going to be affected by these tariffs are other major trading powers. The international implications of the tariffs are perhaps the most damaging aspect of this from the point of view of American trade strategy overall. If indeed, as I would contend, China is pursuing trade policies that need to be changed for the benefit of the United States, its workers, and other countries as well, the United States needs to put together a coalition of other trading powers that will have the influence and the ability to change China's trade policies and investment policies. In addition, there is the possibility, of course, of retaliation. And that would be could have a serious effect on the world economy. I don't want to exaggerate the possibility of retaliation, but tit-for-tat trade retaliation could become a major burden on the world economy, which at the moment is doing reasonably well. Finally, it could have an impact on the World Trade Organization and the architecture of trade, because other countries are very likely to take the United States to the World Trade Organization because of these tariffs imposed on national security grounds. It would put the World Trade Organization in a very difficult position, and if the World Trade Organization finds against the United States, which would be very likely, then the United States might well decide to depart from the World Trade Organization or simply ignore the ruling of the WTO, which would in itself be damaging to the world trade architecture. Well, clearly the beneficiaries from these tariffs are the industries involved and the workers in those industries indirectly. So in the meeting at the White House, the steel and aluminum executives were very happy with these tariffs. This is a tax that will be imposed on American consumers and also indirectly on other industries that use these metals. But it will directly benefit the steel and aluminum industries. So even a highly productive factory could be seriously affected by these tariffs. And this ripple effect on major industries like the automobile industry is serious. Nevertheless, despite the fact that the United States could well lose, indeed by most estimates would lose, more jobs because of these tariffs in steel and aluminum using industries than they would ever gain in the steel and aluminum industries themselves, those pleas were not heard by the administration before the imposition of the tariffs.